Latin America wants to position itself as a major sustainable aviation fuel provider because of its vast potential in recycling forestry and agricultural waste. Opportunities are being explored at the COP30 summit in Brazil, along with how sustainable aviation fuel can be better deployed on the continent and internationally. For a closer look at the developments, let's speak to CNA's Yasmin Yonkers. She's here with me in the studio. Welcome, Yasmin.
Thank you so much, Ronnie, for setting that up nicely. So it's pretty exciting what's happening in Belém, Brazil, with the aviation industry. It looks like they're finally going away from just broad frameworks about how to reach their the 2050 net zero goal. They're looking into sustainable aviation fuel, in fact, zeroing in on it as the main tool right now to fight carbon emissions. Who's going to grow the feedstock? Who's going to pay for it? How do you deploy more SAF in engines? And there seems to be a consensus as well about who should take the lead when it comes to aviation and climate. In the past, there was some haggling about whether it should be independent nations, but that's proved to be a bit messy, or whether it should be the International Civil Aviation Organization.
So then who is taking the lead in all of this?
So it's the UN body, ICAO, that seems to be the popular choice because it's got the backing of major airlines, transport groups, also the 193 countries under its purview. For now, though, there isn't an emissions reduction treaty when it comes to aviation. It's still at a negotiations phase, but ICAO's got to start moving because we're looking at passenger growth that might double in the next decade. So yeah, it's gonna put a strain on the environment.
It's quite a big task, I would say. Why is sustainable aviation fuel such a priority right now? And help us understand how big of a game changer is this?
Okay, so it is the most technologically advanced tool that's available to aviation now to fight climate change, right? Unfortunately, right now, it's scarce, it's expensive. We've seen Seifel's report there that explains all that, but there's a real commitment now to actually involve a lot of it and more as we go along. For now, it's still very humble times, 5 to 10% of SAF in airplane engines by the year 2030. That's what most airlines have agreed to, but hopefully that will grow. It's seen as a critical tool right now. It does fight, climate change in a way because you can feel less guilty about having SAF in the engines. It comes from recycled cooking oil, it comes from forestry and agricultural waste, which is why Latin America has just opened up to this idea that, wow, they could be a major provider of SAF one day. The big thing as well in the aviation industry now when it comes to cutting emissions is a commitment to CORSIA. It is an idea that airlines come together and they actually buy millions of carbon credits, hopefully to raise something like $4 to $5 billion in the next 2 years that can be used in projects that fight emissions, especially particularly linked to aviation and particularly in developing countries.
What about when it comes to new plane technology? How is that helping to decarbonize the industry?
Yeah, hopefully it'll be a game changer in the future. Unfortunately, we do have to wait for 2040 onwards when the new generation, hybrids start to be rolled out from plane factories. Unfortunately, with the story now of tariffs and then backlog supply chain issues, you might expect that deadline to be smudged a little bit. We might have to wait beyond 2040. We're still a very long way from having a fully electrical plane. There's some hydrogen tests going on with airplane right now, but that's a long way off. So what airlines are looking to do now is really to electrify as much as they can on the ground. Let's have a listen to what the CEO of Cebu Pacific, Mike Such, has to say about what his airline's doing.
Airlines really should be looking at modernising their fleets to get the advantage of substantial fuel savings. And that is a 17 to 18% saving per passenger in terms of the carbon footprint that is being produced. So fleet is a big part. And then I think everyone's got an obligation to make sure they're taking the steps on what I consider to be the low-hanging fruit. Aircraft we can't electrify right from, at this point in time, maybe some point further down in the future, decades away. But we can certainly electrify all our ground equipment. equipment. So, we have a lot of ground equipment, buses, pushback tugs, all of these need to be replaced. So again, airlines should be progressively replacing all those equipment. So these are the things that we can do today.
And clearing the low-hanging fruit in travel is something that we can do personally as well. Have you any ideas how you're going to clean up your travel?
I mean, to be very honest with you, Yasmin, I have not done that. I would say I've taken less short-haul trips this year, but I am still someone who travels quite often, whether it be to go home or to go on holiday or to visit family and friends. So I've not really done my part, I'm sorry.
Well, there's always a chance to change in the future. And here's something that might help you. It is the acceptance that you're actually going to have to pay an aviation levy from next year. Say, if you're booking a ticket out of Changi Airport from April the 1st to fly from October the 1st and after that, there's going to be a levy slapped on your ticket from $1 to $41, and it depends on how far you'll fly, it depends on your class of travel, and that's really to go into a fund to buy sustainable aviation fuel. I don't know how you feel about that, but that's going to come, at some point.
I mean, I don't mind. I could definitely budget that into my next trip, for sure.
Well, I had a conversation with the Director General of the Association of Asia Pacific Airlines, and this is what he had to say about this levy. Have a listen and tell me what you think.
If you ask anybody, who has been thinking about this issue of sustainability, whether they are prepared to make a small contribution to help address the emissions that are out there, most people would say yes. But what people say and what people do sometimes differ. You need a call to action. So I think the levy is really a call to action. It's just like charity. Everybody wants to be charitable. But unless there is a trigger, a call to action, people don't really act. And I think that's what the levy does. It is not a lot, in the scheme of things, but it gives people an opportunity to participate in the greening of the planet.
Okay, a charitable contribution to heal the planet. Well, your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think it's okay. It's not that big of a deal. If it doesn't double the price of my airline ticket, I could eat that cost. I'm good with that.
Okay, so that levy to come, maybe a few more down the road. Interesting nugget I picked up. Who are the passengers you think that are most willing to pay for sustainable aviation fuel? Because it's expensive.
The ones who have money, obviously.
The ones who have money, yeah, that's right. The ones who fly the private jets, the high net worth individuals, right?
Of course.
It's very interesting. Anecdotally, it's filtered down to me from the people who do the jet hires. This group of people actually ask for sustainable aviation fuel. It's down to their image, it's down to guilt, social pressure, the fact that they can afford it. In about 2 years or so, the French plane maker Dassault is set to roll out its 10X private jet that is said to be able to run on 100% SAF blend. It's going to cost a lot to run that plane. I know someone who already owns the 7X, Taylor Swift.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not surprised if she's eyeing an upgrade. What do you think?
But that's pretty cool that they have the technology to do this. I think it's great. Thank you, Yasmin, for sharing all those insights with us. That was Yasmin Yonkers, who covers aviation for CNA.